All right, today what we're going to do is design a website that I've been thinking about for a while. And so the whole concept behind the website is going to be referrals. And what I mean by referrals is that people have, for instance, like they have Amex, they have, like, in this case, I'm going to use 8 Sleep. They have referral codes that allow them to send them out, and somehow usually what happens is there's like a give and take, which is like you get a $50, like, I don't know, points, and your friend gets $100 of points, or some sort of, like, again, give and take for the whole thing. So you also want, like, yeah, anytime there's a way that you can have this to give to anybody, like, of course you want to get your own kickback plus help your friends get a savings, but also, yeah, you can have so many different systems that you use that have these referral codes. I've not found a website yet that has a good system for referrals that, like, you can just search around. But more importantly, I want to make this more social afterwards, so we'll ignore all that for now. When we're designing a website, what we really want to think about is, okay, so you go to the home page, and what do you see? Well, normally what you're gonna see, like, usually is like a little search bar thing up here, a little profile looking thing there, a title over here, maybe a filter list depending on what you want, and then like the actual content itself, which we'll have to figure out what that content looks like, which may look like, in this case, if we are building this referral app, I really have to think about, okay, like the content page. And you'll see where this is all going in a little bit, but like the content page. So, like, let's just say like my username is Matt, and underneath me I have like referral 1, 2, 3, and it lists it out there. But like, let's say I go back in as Matt. And this is another thing we have to think about is like, as we add, or like, what is the ads, like, add referral code to thing, does this increase to 4? So on the home page, when you think about it, like, and again, we have to think about these things, and this is how you design things, is when Matt is listed and he has got his 3 items there and adds a fourth, but Tim is here and he is adding, or he's got his 2, and all of a sudden he adds 1. Does, like, Tim hop up above Matt? Like, how does this ordering work? So that's another thing we're going to have to think about later. That's just a concept of things we're going to think about. So let's keep moving on. Just again, keep this in your mind of how are you designing these items and thinking about them. Like, let's just go to like a profile. So profile, what you imagine as a username. Sorry, username, like to have it as a display name, and this is weird, but in a social network or in a social thing, you understand why this is social later. But like, social wise, you may want to change what your username is from like MTTC908 or something to like display name like Matt Carnali, or if I don't give my last name, like it could be Matt like SF, but you have a display name. Email for both security and if there's eventual contact things, and then like obviously password. But then also you have to think about, like, under the profile here, like, you then also are going to have all the referrals. So you're gonna have every single like referral link that you add into this thing. So, and then like each referral will have items in it. And you may want to be able to do things like delete it. You may want to be able to edit it. You may want to be able to, I don't know, change or I guess that is edit at that point, but like cancel, edit, like, and then there's also the add new. Maybe in the future when we do marketing exercise, you have promote buttons, which like you pay for dollars to promote yours to the top or something. But like you think about you're just looking at the profile, and so you have your username, your display, your email, your password, and all your referrals that you've created. And this goes back to when you think about it, back up to this home page here of like how are these referrals going to be shown? So that's something to think about as we start designing this thing out here. Um, Now, moving on from referrals, we have to think about okay, what is a referral? Like, what does a referral actually have like behind it? Um, so I would say, for instance, like it would probably have a title, URL to the like home page. Um, it would have, in my opinion, tags. So you may have like, we'll use 8 sleep as like the thing here. So the homepage, HTTP, whatever, tags, which may be like sleep, insomnia, like cooling, whatever tags you want, you would add them in there. Then maybe a description of like and you may want to, I mean, not determined yet, but like you may want to describe the description in 2 parts, which is like uh, the general item and then the benefits. And what I mean benefits is like you get plus $50 if you use my link, and I also get $25 if you use my link, or whatever like system there is. Like I saw an Amex deal the other day, which was like you get 30,000 points for each referral, and your friend can get up to 175,000 points. And it's like, okay, well, that'd be nice. Which then goes back to the question of like, all right, in this referral thing, like, obviously there's a create, delete, and edit. So we look at the referrals. Next up, we got to think about search. So how's it going to search on? Is it going to search on display name, uh, title, tags, description? And this is where I'll show you later, like when we have that like URL of the actual home website, we'll be able to use certain tools to pick off metadata, which will have things automatically, like it'll have mattress, like again we're using the sleep 8 thing, it'll have mattress, it'll have like cooling, heating, anything it has underneath it. Like there's frames out there to pull out and scrape websites, and like that's one thing we need to think about is as you add a referral up here, like do you have a scraper going, which we can always think about later. And then search again, like when you search in, like what's the order of like how these things work, like because if I search for sleep, like we have the optionality of like, okay, sleep, but then my name, username, or display name is sleep Matt. You search for sleep, and sleep mat pulls up and like has items underneath them. But then you may have a search of like title, like, well, 8 sleep may pull sleep in, so you see that, or maybe a tag which has sleep. Then you do things like descending or ascending order. Sorry, that's down. So, of like date. Like, what filters do you provide? And so when you look at like this whole thing, like it starts becoming much more complex than just like, let's build an app that will then allow people to add referrals into it, and they can then have their friends link it up to. And that's like I didn't even talk about, which is like I want to think about like what makes this special beyond anything else, which is like I have a really good idea for how it will work socially. So like that's one category that I'm going to keep as like my intellectual property of like how I think about it socially and how this will work socially. Um, there's gonna be other things like how does the design look, and then there's gonna be things like can I add like external things like Google Auth. Um, and you're gonna start seeing a lot of these other things that we're not thinking about right now that we are obviously thinking about, but like our core is to get to the base of like how do we build this basic referral website where a user can log in, they can see the referrals, so the user up here logs in, they can see the referrals, they can search, they have a profile, and whatever other actions we want to give that person. And so in this case, like this is what I think we want to start out with. And so now what I need to do is design a prompt to start the thinking and reasoning of how this will be built out, but I also need to build the infrastructure. So we look at this like, what's next? Like, it's going to be we may hear this term a lot: prompt engineering. The other thing that we need to do is figure out the infrastructure. Because behind this, we have a website. It needs to be hosted. We have a database which is going to keep track of everything. Which, where's that going to be? Is it going to be in Vercel? Is it going to be in Google? Like, is it going to be in Azure? Wherever. When you think about like code repository, which I mean is obvious, which will be Git. And the reason for this is if we put it in Git, we can move it all over the place, but we also want to make automations. And what I mean by automations is in VS Code, once I push, it should auto deploy. It should auto deploy to my target environment. In some cases, I may use Azure, AWS, GCP. I may use Vercel. I talked about Ghost, and so on. So you gotta think about the like infrastructure and like the automations of how this will automatically all work for you easily. So we have our website, we have our database, we have our code, we have our automations, and then we have like future tooling. Let me erase that. Like, do we want to connect it to like Google Ads? Like, do we want to do like a metadata capture for SEO? Do you want to do more and more and more? And so we got to start thinking about this stuff. But to start, all we need to start with is prompt engineering, which is the next thing we're going to go after. So this is the design time that we have right here that we just talked about. Now we're going to go into a little bit deeper of like instead of design time, we're going to go into prompt engineering time, which is pretty much the same thing, but in this case, we're doing prompt engineering. So that will be it for this first session. And then we'll go into prompt engineering, and then we'll show you how you build out what we just talked about. Then we'll walk into the actual infrastructure, and then we'll walk into like, and I forgot this major point, which is like the actual like coding agent, and also like we didn't talk about before, like reasoning and why that can be important. And just think about this as well. Like we didn't talk about design. Like what do I want to make it look like, and how do I make it easily look like something? Because there's certain design libraries out there that you can make it easily look like a really professional website by just injecting a really small piece into your prompt. But for now, we have a lot to go. So I'm going to stop here as the first part of the series. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know. But this is the start of it. So thank you.